So in block one here, as we said, this is going to be a slightly longer hypertrophy phase, and we're just going to go through our upper body, lower body split. There is a time and a place to focus more on target areas. Right now, we still got someone that's only probably like 4 to 6 months into their training. They're probably still wanting a general amount of muscle everywhere. So this is going to be a relatively even split here. Now, because we've already decided that this is a hypertrophy focused split, we're going to be picking exercises that fit that mantra. So we're going to be picking more stable exercises that allow them to train really hard, closer to muscular failure. And we're going to starting off with the minimum effective dose. So start with 2 sets of 6 repetitions. Now, over time, when you're looking at them week to week, see, is the volume coming up? So have I progressed from week 1 to week 2, week 2 to week 3, week 3 to week 4? If we haven't, I want you to start asking your clients questions. What is the reason why they haven't progressed the logbook this week? Is it just a bad week? Is their recovery not as good? Is their lifestyle poor? Is it an execution issue to get videos? Is it a stability issue? Right? Is it the fact they're just not training hard enough? They can push a little bit more. Is it the fact we need more volume? And this is when you can maybe start to, over the course of a 6-8 week block, you might go from 2 sets to 3 sets to 4 sets. How many sets can we get them up to before they start to struggle with their recovery? Then we're going to go into our T-bar row and then moving into our dumbbell floor press. So this exercise and this block, we're going to be following the 90-degree principle that was popularized by Stefan Gazolt. So what Stefan found is that if I go from a shoulder press to an incline press, that range isn't big enough to actually have enough of a carryover without impacting recovery. It's too close. It's going to impact recovery. Whereas if I do shoulder press and a decline press, it's so far away that one doesn't help the other. Well, he found that 90 degrees was the sweet spot. So in phases where he focuses on shoulder press, he would also focus on flat pressing. And when he focused on incline pressing, he would focus on more decline variations. And we are going to be working with this over the course of these blocks. So every other block, this one will be more flat and vertical pressing. The next block at upper lower in block 3, we're going to be focusing on incline pressing and decline pressing. You can obviously switch this around based off what your clients need. So shoulder press here, T-bar row, dumbbell floor press, a slightly more stable flat press variation, a bit more tricep focused. And then we've got an upper back pull down. So the T-bar row is more lat focused. This is more upper back focused. And then we've got our triceps, our face pulls, and our lateral raises here. Then we move on to day 2. And we see here we're focusing mainly on our stable exercises. We've got our lying hamstring curls here to sort of pump the hamstrings a little bit, which helps with stability in the squat. It feels nice and people's knees tend to thank you for it. And then the Smith machine, because we can really take this close to failure in a stable environment and get the knees forward because we're not relying on stability. The incline hyper to get the glutes in the shortened position, and that single leg press just to really iron out any discrepancies. We've got an adductor work here, some calves and some abs. And again, you can personalize, like the previous blocks, these end exercises to what your client wants to focus on more. Now, on our day 2, we have the shoulder press in day 1 as our main exercise. We're now going to go for a flat variation in day 2. Same thing with the 90-degree principle. And that means now our C exercise is our shoulder press, which is now our vertical press. And now we've got a vertical pull variation here that's more lat focused and an upper back variation on the row here. So we cover all of our bases. Then we've got a big exercise for triceps. We've got a single arm exercise for biceps, which tends to work quite nicely for most people, and some external rotation work just to keep the shoulder happy. Now, when we move into day 4, we're now moving into our more hamstring dominant lower body day. And this is where we have our deficit split squat as well as our Romanian deadlift and our seated hamstring curl, because now this is a bit further down the exercise, we chose more stable variation so they can work really, really, really hard. And then again, the opposite side of the ankle, the opposite side of the abs, and a leg extension to really finish off those quads. So that is an overview of block 1. Now in block 2 in our high volume phase, we're going to go into our local tension accumulation phase. So this is now much more of a body part split here. And how we've got this planned out is we're going to be focusing on back and arms as the target areas. So when you're deciding the split for a body part split, we want to put the biggest target areas next to the biggest amount of rest days. So we've got back delts arms here next to our 2 rest days, then back and triceps next to our other rest day. That means we can fill in the blanks with the areas that we aren't prioritizing as much. So feel free to swap these days around and put the things that your client wants next to the rest days. Now, when we're looking at local tension, we're looking to create and accumulate a lot of fatigue in a very short amount of time. This isn't so much about load here. This is about like a side splitting pump. So what you'll notice here is that we've got 5 sets of 6 reps, but the weight is going to be less because we've only got 40 seconds between each set. So it's a very incomplete rest. We're going to accumulate fatigue, and you want to choose a weight that allows you to get all 5 sets, even if it's brutal, with the same amount of load. We don't want to be dropping set to set. Right? And then here we've got our B1, B2 exercise, which is going to be a slight post-exhaust for that chest. And then same thing of a post-exhaust with our triceps. We've got a bit of volume of the triceps and post-exhaust, sorry, with our biceps. On day 2, we're doing exactly the same thing with our pull down, then a post-exhaust again. Then we're going to be looking at a post-exhaust for lats. Then we're going to do another delta exercise, then a post-exhaust for triceps. Day 3 on quads here, we're going to go into our leg extensions. So because we're looking at local stimulus, not systemic, we're going to take something that's really stable and we get really into the quads. And then we're going to move into a hack squat in a pre-fatigue state and then come back to leg extensions to really get the most out of those quads. Then we've got another high volume exercise for hamstrings, and then shorten range and lengthen range glutes. And then a similar thing here with our day 4, where we're going to be starting more with back rear delts than we are on chest. Then we're going to move into our first initial strength phase. So now with our strength phases, the split changes again to be focusing on what do we need to get the lift up. So when we think of strength days, we want our main exercise to be our biggest lift of the day. So let's say this is a squat. Our B series is our accessory work that brings up the squat, and our C series, our single joint hypertrophy work that will bring up those B series, which will bring up the squat. So everything is based around that top day. So if we can see this in an example here, what we notice here, we've got a barbell back squat, front for elevated split squat, underlying hamstring curls here. The hamstrings to stabilize the knee. Again, we're going to choose our B1 based off where is the sticking point. So the front for elevated split squat will get the glutes. This helps someone at the bottom of the squat. But if someone's struggling around that midpoint, you may choose a different exercise here, right? Then we're going to have some hip flexor work, which is massively underutilized, and then some loaded carries to work on the bracing. On day 2, we're now going to move into our bench press day, and then we've got shoulders and back in our B series here. Just because the bench press is a very locked in exercise, I wanted the shoulder blades to move. But again, if you give triceps to the weakness, stick a floor press in here, stick a California press in here, stick a close grip bench in here. And then in our C series, we're going to be focusing on external rotators, integrating that like they would in the bench press, and our action of external, our triceps in here, so we can bring up that bench press even more. Day 3, we're going to be focusing on our rack pull. So we're going to start breaking the deadlift down into smaller components, getting really strong in this. And then again, similar thing, we're going to pick in exercises to help bring up that rack pull. And on day 4, we're going to be looking at a military press on pins, starting pretty stable and working up. Now, what you'll notice here, this is 3 sets of 6. This might not feel like a strength phase, but what I want you to do here is go 3 sets of 6, 4 sets of 5, 5 sets of 4. So you're taking someone on this first strength phase who's not used to this level of intensity and slowly teaching them how to lift heavier. That is the aim of this phase. So that is our first block of undulating. Hope this makes sense. Any questions, do not hesitate to let me know.